Hello! Today I'm going to be showing you how to make coffee in a Chemex coffee pot. Not only is it the most elegant way to make a cup of coffee, I'd also argue that it's the best way to pull out those delicate flavors in your favorite bean. If this is your first time making coffee in a Chemex coffee pot, I'd encourage you to watch this video all the way through before you try making one yourself and then going back and watching the different steps separately. It's important to remember that in this type of brewing especially, it's all controlled by you. The type of coffee, the grind, the temperature of the water, if you stir or don't stir, this is all up to you. And that can be a little intimidating, but I also think it makes it the most fun way to brew coffee. And I think by the end of this video, you will too. Let's get going. Alright, before we make some coffee, let's go over the inventory of supplies that we'll be needing for this project. First, we've got our Chemex, of course. In this case, it is a 6-cup Chemex that I've got. Next, we've got our special Chemex paper filters, which I'll go over a little bit more in detail as we start brewing. Next down the line, we've got our kettle. In my case, I really like a gooseneck kettle. It makes the pouring process a little more accurate and a little bit easier. And finally, we've got our ground coffee, of course. I usually recommend using about the same grind as you would for a regular drip machine, but you can kind of tweak that as you see fit. Finally, one thing that I like that's sort of optional to brew coffee in a Chemex is a kitchen scale. It makes everything a little bit more consistent and accurate, but if you don't have one, we can do without it. Alrighty, let's make some coffee. Now that our water is boiled and our coffee is ground, what we want to do is get the filter into the Chemex. And these Chemex filters are a square piece of paper that has been folded twice in half. So one of these corners is going to have all 4 layers showing, which is the corner that we want to find. Right here, and we're going to peel back one of those layers, turn it into a cone, and making sure we know where the spout of the Chemex is, we're going to turn the 3-layered side towards that spout. This is about when I like to start using my scale, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that, set it to grams, and put it under here and even it out. For the amount of coffee, I usually use about 35 to 40 grams. That's 5 or 6 heaping tablespoons. And let's see how well I did in guessing how much coffee there was. So, all right on 35. That was a good job this time around. On this first go around with the gooseneck kettle, what I want to do is just make sure that I'm getting all the grounds wet. So in a circular motion, spiraling inward, just wet all the grounds just once over. This should take about 150, maybe 200 grams of water. And then we're going to let it sit for 30 seconds. Now those initial 30 seconds let the coffee breathe and bloom a little bit, as they say. So the next pour that we want to do is going to fill us up, and I usually like to do about 600 grams of water, but what's nice about this 6-cup Chemex is that when you fill up this top section, which you can kind of see through the filter, that's going to be about 600 grams of water total, including those first 150 or so. So right there, that puts me at just around 600 grams of water, and it's just the top is full. Now we're just going to let the water drain through the coffee. Now that all the water has drained out of the top of the Chemex comes the best part of the process, which is taking out the filter. I give it a few taps to get out any extra coffee, giving it a swirl, and pouring yourself a nice cup of coffee. Cheers. Hey Trent. When I was making this video, I mostly had in mind the ARCS model, and I was kind of thinking that a person who would be interested in this video probably is already a coffee drinker, and so a way to kind of generate attention or relevance for this video would be to talk a little bit about Chemex and why I think it's the best way to brew coffee, especially kind of catering to someone who might be interested in the Chemex. You gotta play to the coffee strength, tell them how much better the coffee is going to be, how much control they have over it, that it's an advanced way to drink coffee. I think would play to people kind of piquing their interest. As far as instilling confidence, I do think it's pretty difficult in online settings to do so, but my way of doing that was to film from my vantage point in the hopes that that would instill confidence that they almost had felt by watching the video that they had already brewed coffee. And so actually doing it would just be kind of one more step removed. That's why at the beginning of the video I said, watch it through one time and then maybe come back and go back through if you need to. I was also, sure to put in sections of pause as I felt they were needed, kind of in between steps, and allow the learners as they go along to stop at kind of checkpoints throughout. And hopefully for the learners, that the satisfaction will come when they brew their first cup of coffee, whether they don't listen to me and do it through the first time they watch the video or later. I think having first that vantage point view of what's going on is a little bit satisfying, and then actually making the coffee later is going to be a satisfying experience as well.